All right, so we are going to now combine two things that we practiced in the recent past to rearrange equations again. This is also called solving for a specific variable, by the way. This time we're going to use our cross-multiplying technique on rearranging equations. Y'all seem to be pretty good at that cross-multiplying, so hopefully this will go well. Y'all recognize this structure, how it looks like the cross-multiplying problems that we did? Yes? Okay. So we're going to apply cross-multiplying to these problems. We'll do that 6 is being over 1, and you'll have 1 times 2x plus y equals 6 times 2. I noticed that quite a few of you were skipping that step, that is doing that step in your head, and that's okay with me. 2x plus y equals 12. So basically we're going to do that cross-multiplying step, and then apply the things that we learned how to do, or that we practiced on 5.5c. Okay, stop and always remember, what am I solving for? And in example 1, I'm solving for y. So what do I need to get rid of if I'm trying to solve for y? 2x. I'm going to subtract it. And I get y equals 12 minus 2x. I don't need to divide by 1. That problem is finished. Okay, y equals 12 minus 2x. Everybody follow? Okay, so cross multiply on the second one, we did the same exact step, 2x plus y equals 12. That step is the same. It doesn't matter if you're solving for x or for y, the cross multiplying step is going to look the same. And now what am I going to get rid of since I'm solving for x? Minus the y from both sides, okay? So minus the y, and you'll get 2x equals 12 minus y, okay? And since I'm solving for x, I have one more step to do. What do I need to do? Divide by 2. Chad, make sure you write this right, okay? So, can we divide by 2? Use the new stuff. So we're going to divide the left side by 2, and we're going to divide the right side by 2. And x equals 12 minus y over 2. That's one of the forms, okay? And then beside it, you will divide each piece by 2 and get the other form, which is, what's 12 divided by 2? 6. You need to stop. What's 12 divided by 2? Everybody but Rachel. 6, okay? And then you're going to say minus y divided by 2. And what do we put in front of the y? It's y divided by 2. What do we put in front of the y? 1/2, right? Minus 1/2 y. Y'all remember that? Okay, you can come back and answer the next question. Okay? Okay? Very good? The two answers. X equals either this way or this way. Okay, so let's do a couple more just to kind of see how they feel. We're going to start by cross multiplying. Okay? Start by cross multiplying. And when you cross multiply, you get negative 2 times a minus b, and you get 3 times c. Okay? Kayla? That's a question? That's a question in text. What do we do next to the left side? What property do we apply? Everybody. Distributive. Watch your signs. Negative 2a plus 2b equals 3c. And then if you've done a couple of steps, stop and remind yourself, what did she tell me to solve for? She told me to solve for a or for b or for c? Which one? A. So what do I need to get rid of if I'm solving for a? 2b. Subtract the 2b. That's right. 3c. Watch out right here. Those are not like terms, so don't add them together. Leave them separate. 3c minus 2b. And, oh, sorry, I wrote that bad one. Minus 2b. Let's try that again. Negative 2a equals 3c minus 2b. All right, and what's my next step? What do I need to get rid of now? Negative 2 by what operation? Division, okay? Division. So then divide by negative 2. And I'm going to write my answer down here below 5 just because I ran out of room. Y'all still have room? Yeah? Okay, I'm just going down here. I'll erase it in a minute. So I get a equals 3c minus 2b, all divided by negative 2. Good? What's the other way that answer can be written? 3 divided by negative 2 is 3 over 2, and it's negative on x, so on the c. And negative 2 divided by negative 2 is positive 1. Okay? Good? Question? Anyone? Why is it? Okay, so this is positive 3 divided by 3. And a positive divided by a negative is a negative. I won't mark it wrong if you leave that negative in the denominator, but I'll circle it and tell you to come see me, because I've been saying this since the beginning of the year. Like, leaving negatives in the denominator causes trouble for people in the next step, all right? Okay, so let's try this one up here. It's the same first step, negative 2, a minus b. It sometimes it throws people off that it doesn't matter whether you're solving for a or b or c. The first step is the same, and that's the cross multiply step. That's our first step. Get rid of those fractions. And go ahead and do your distributive property. Take care of that. Negative 2a plus 2b equals 3c. So that step is the same no matter what you're solving for. Okay? Now your next step is different. When I solved for a, I had to get rid of the b. If I solved for b, I'd have to get rid of the a. If I'm solving for c, what do I have to get rid of? The 3. If I'm doing one operation. Division. Okay? Division. And right here, sometimes people turn this around. I kind of like to put that c in front instead of in back. Okay? And my one answer is negative 2a plus 2b, all divided by 3. That is one answer that needs to be on your page. And then you need to separate it. I don't think anything reduces this time. Negative 2 divided by 3 is negative 2/3. And 2 divided by 3 is positive 2/3. Two different forms of the same answer. Okay? All right? Let's try the next one. Okay? What's different about examples 5 and 6 is this time my denominators are not numbers. My denominators are variables. They're variables. Doesn't make any difference. I'm still going to cross multiply. Cross multiply will be 1 times x and k times y. I need to get that y out of the denominator, and cross multiplying is the way to do it. Okay? 1 times x, k times y. Make sense? All right? And then stop and say, okay, what am I solving for? If I'm solving for x, I'm done. If I'm solving for y, which is what I'm solving for here, what do I need to divide by? Okay. And our answer is y equals x over k. That doesn't have any pluses or minuses, so I don't need to write it 2 different ways. The next one's going to do that. All right? Okay. Step number 1. This is negative c over 1. So 1 times a minus 7 equals negative c times b. And it's okay to write BC. CB, BC are the same thing. There's some, a lot of times in Algebra 1 textbooks and Algebra 2 textbooks, they keep them alphabetical. So it doesn't really matter. Okay, what am I solving for here? B. If I were solving for A, what would I do? Add 7. So since I'm solving for B, what do I do? Divide by negative 6. Divide by negative 6. So my first answer is a minus 7 divided by negative 6. That's my first answer. What's the second answer going to look like? Okay, we've been doing this, we've separated these. This is distributive property for division. A divided by negative c. Put that negative at the top. Okay? And negative 7 divided by negative c is going to be negative divided by negative is positive. We tend to make sign mistakes on these. That place right there is a big one. Okay? How does that feel? Okay? All right, so that's cross multiplying. This batch of problems has some like terms in it. Okay, meaning that in more than one place, you're going to see an X. Yes.
For the other side, the copy down. Like, I don't, should I just copy down that part again? I just like put the type in there, but actually that way.
I need to see both answers, these equals. Okay, both answers. Okay, later on it'll go away. Because right now it's perfect. Okay. All right, so what's going to happen in these problems, what you have to notice is that there's 2 terms that have the same variable in them. So look at example 1. What 2 terms have the same variable in them? Everybody look, what variable shows up more than one time in example one? X. In example two, what variable shows up more than one time? B. In example three, M. And in example 12, I don't know why that says 12, that's just example 4. Okay? What variable shows up more than one time? X. Okay, did I mess up the rest of them? Yes, 12, 13, 14. I guess I forgot to change them. I don't know what I was doing. All right, is everybody ready to go? Okay, so the first thing we need to do, I want just to backtrack for a second. Don't write this down. But when we solve this equation right here, we have to get all of the x's together on one side. Y'all remember that? All of them. So that's going to be our first step whenever we end up with terms that have the same variable. So our first step here is to get our x's gathered on one side or the other. It doesn't usually matter. Usually everybody will pick the same one without me telling you which one to pick. Okay, get all the x's into one side. 2x plus 1x is 3x. And then on the other side, all I have is 6y. So I'm going to just stop and point out that if I said solve for y, you would divide by 6. But if I say solve for x, you're going to divide by 3. Does that make sense? We're going to divide by 3, and x is equal to 2y. Easy enough? Okay, take a look at example 2. We need to get all our b's together on one side. Don't do it just yet. I want us to all think about which way do we want to do this. As Aaron, this is one of the things that you kept doing on your worksheet that caused you a problem, okay? So on this one, sometimes people want to do this. Please don't copy this. They want to do this, and that's okay. But what are you left over here when you say 3b minus 3b? You're left with 0, and you have to put that number there if you're going to do it. I think we have better luck if we try not to let that happen. So instead of subtracting the 3b, I'm going to subtract the 4b. I'll tell you, both of them will work. And if you do it right, I'm going to give you full credit for it, but it is a place that causes people to mess up. Okay? 3b minus 4b is negative 1b. If I said solve for a, you'd be done. Yes? But since I said solve for b, what do you have to divide by? Negative 1. Divide by negative 1. And so that's an understood 1. 1 divided by negative 1 is negative 1. You can also write that with just negative a. That's acceptable without that 1 in there. Okay? All right, looking at example 3. What do we need to put together? We need to gather our variables in the same side. What do we need to gather this time? The m's. So ask yourself, do you want to add 3m or do you want to subtract 1m? Which one will keep you from getting a 0? Add the 3m. Y'all see? We just make fewer mistakes if we make that choice. n plus 8 equals 4m. Okay, I like to give you the same problem and ask you to solve it for 2 different variables. This is the first step no matter what. Get all of the m's together. If I said solve for n, you would subtract a. If I say solve for m, you're going to do what? I hate why am I using m's and n's and telling you the same thing. Solve for m, you're going to do what? Divide by 4. And I like to put that in the front. N plus 8 divided by 4. That's one of my answers. N plus 8 divided by 4. Okay? This has got that look where I have to write it 2 ways. So what do I put for n divided by 4? 1 over 4. You guys, we've done this a million times. We've done it since the fall. 1 over 4 n. And what's 8 divided by 4? 2. Okay? This is supposed to say example 4. And 5. I'd like y'all to try example 4, also known as problem number 12. See if y'all can try problem number 12, example 4, by yourselves. So you practice that? Remember that? Try one that was number 12, example 4. I'm gonna tell you, there's two answers that look different, they're both right. So if your answer's different from your, neighbors, it doesn't mean they're wrong. Okay, can I get a show of hands, please, of who started this problem like this? Raise your hand if you started by adding 5x, raise your right and 6. Okay? Nobody else? Who started this problem this way? Raise your hand. Okay, so these are both correct, neither one is better, because you don't get a 0 for either one of them. I'm gonna get both of them up here, just so you can see. Alright, so, the people who started it this way, you're solving correct, so your next step should be to subtract 10. And then divide by -4. I'm gonna show you what that looks like. You're gonna get y equals, what happened to my x? Turn into a y. Sorry, x equals 4x, right? So you get x equals 3y minus 10 divided by -4. That answer is correct. The people who did it this way, your next step to solve for x is to subtract 3y from both sides. And your answer, -4x equals 10 minus 3y, going down here below, your answer is going to be x equals 10 minus 3y divided by, I have to say it over here. This is a plus, not a -4. Those of you who did it this way, double check your work, because I had it wrong. Okay, these two answers are both correct, they're both acceptable, okay? They're both acceptable. They don't look the same, but they are the same, and I'm not gonna talk about why they're the same right now, but I am gonna show you why I made you do that second step, okay? Because when you do the second step here, you get 3/4 y minus 10/4, which you really should reduce to 5/2. And when you do the second step for this one, you get -10/4 plus 3/4 y. Do y'all see that those are the same thing? Can y'all see that they're the same thing when we put them in that second form? That's why that second form is useful, because when we put it in the second form, we get the same answer. Okay? The key to these problems is recognition that the first step is to get all of the like terms together on one side or the other. Okay? Very good. So you don't have to have both of these problems, you have to have one or the other. They're both right. Okay, either one of them. All right. I want you to try number 13, also known as, example 5. Try number 13. I'm gonna come around and see if anybody had any problems with the last one. I'm gonna put same problem numbers. Okay, let's see if anybody had any problems with the last one. That's what you need to look at. Go ahead and try number 13, example 5. Anybody need to look at the last one? No? It doesn't make any difference. And so when I worked this one, I showed you 2 ways, and either one of them's okay. Because there's a 3 here. So you need to get the y's together. So you either need to add y or subtract 5y, and it doesn't make any difference. The only time I think it matters is when you make the choice that gives you a 0. People tend to make mistakes with it. You can still do it. Just to make this, but you're not going to get a 0 here. You're going to get 3. Right? Okay? Right, if I need you to look at the last example. Yep. Okay. you should get one of these two answers, and I don't care which one you get, they're both right. Okay, I didn't show any work, I'm just telling what the answer is, okay? So when you've got one of these two answers, then you need to take it to the second step, okay? If you don't have one of these two answers, you need to let me come over and take a look at it. Once you take it to the second step, you can do the last part, okay? You may need me to come take a look. Look at the last part. Okay. Yep, you're doing the last part. Okay? I'm not sure you would do this out. So what we highlight is 2x minus 3 equals 6y. Yes, well, this is the right step, but you don't put in the middle, and now you're gonna divide by 6. So we're trying to solve for right here, so what do you need to get rid of next? Minus the 2x. Put it on both sides, put minus 2x, and put it underneath and draw your line. And on this side, they go minus, and you get negative 6y. And on this side, you can't actually put them together, so you can write that base. Period. Now divide by 6. So, and then you don't need to write that minus 2, write minus 2x. Because if you write minus 2, you will add it together. But if you write minus 2, you have see, this is one term, so we got one more step to do to finish that. Yes. All right, and then as soon as you've got it, go on and do the last example, and I'll put those answers up in just a minute. The final answer on this one is the same for both of them. 1/3 x minus a half, or negative a half plus 1/3 x. Solving for y again. Probably everybody did it this way. Probably. But a different way I'll look at it, it's just at the same time. Okay? All right, so your homework, you have finished any of your correcting, you need to bring it to me and make sure that it's right. You need to do 5.5b, the worksheet that we just did. And remember that on Friday, we're going to do a review day of all of the topics. We're going to hit fractions a little bit, because there was a little bit of trouble with fractions, and review for the quiz, and the quiz will be on Tuesday. Okay? Okay? And Rachel, and then you remember to come back here on 8 and pick up 5.5a. Correct code. Okay? So did I forget to start?